In real estate sales, the frequent first contact that we have with a prospect, the most likely first contact we have with a prospect, is either the internet, if you will, or over the phone. It's less likely that the first contact is going to be face-to-face. If it's the internet, then we have a challenge, if you will, especially if we only have an email address that we're trying to communicate with that prospect who's functionally stealth, that we have no way to really drive to a what I call traditional sales channel, which would be a face-to-face appointment or a phone-to-phone appointment, trying to functionally move them to a face-to-face appointment. Now, recognize the first contact with the prospect that is experienced over the phone is different, and that's the real strategy we've got to work on. If an agent is contacted, as an example, directly via sign call, ad call, floor time, whatever it may be, via the phone, they're likely to be working or focused on something else when the opportunity to interact with that prospect arrives. I mean, we're in effect being interrupted. And we've got to recognize that there's nothing wrong with that interruption. And in fact, we've got to leap into position in that interruption and make sure we're ready for it. We can't lose sight of the objective, if you will, of that prospect encounter that we're experiencing through the ad call, sign call, floor call, etc. Our focus should be to set a face-to-face appointment. That should be our primary goal and objective. It should be what we should be asking for on a regular basis. Certainly, securing their information is critical. We want to be able to get that. But for the most part, most agents are almost so fixated on gathering the information that they forget to get the appointment booked, and they gather the information and then maybe functionally start sending them things and then find it difficult to get back in front of that prospect. The objective is primarily to book the appointment and understand to follow a structured sales process that we've outlined in real estate. The fallback position, if you can't get the face-to-face appointment, is a phone appointment for a specific day at a specific time in the future. So no matter whether it's face-to-face or phone-to-phone, you want a second appointment off that call. The concern and the hesitation on most prospects' parts can increase the longer we manipulate to keep them on the phone. And there's nothing wrong with trying to keep them on the phone. Don't get me wrong, you're trying to get some more information, but recognize the resistance level goes up. And that's especially true if they're feeling like there's this verbal judo match going on between you and them. And at the end of the day, that doesn't work in today's environment. Their mind begins to think that you're asking them questions because you're trying to make a quick sale, that you're just trying to acquire information that you'll use against them in the future. So because they think that you're doing that, they won't give you more information, or they functionally will give you the information but never return your call and never work with you again. The more they feel that way, the greater the resistance that you're going to feel of the salesperson with them. But my friends, once you secure the appointment, you've really been granted inside permission by the prospect to ask, if you will, qualifying and service expectation questions. So recognize once you get the appointment, you have removed the major barrier to asking the questions. Now, most trainers in real estate will teach you to ask these litany of questions prior to booking appointment to make sure the appointment is good and valid. I think that's the wrong approach, because these questions will raise the resistance on the part of the prospect. Now, I'm not saying don't ask questions. I'm saying use questions judiciously to be able to keep the dialogue going, to give yourself another opportunity in 30 or 45 seconds to be able to ask for the appointment. The best approach is to secure the appointment and then ask the questions. So make sure that you understand the order in the sales process, but unfortunately, you can't always select that ideal, if you will, approach. We're going to often have to ask questions to keep that dialogue flowing long enough to ask for the appointment that second or third or even fourth time or even fifth time, if you will. So make sure that you don't focus so much on the scripting that you may be using to gather information. That's the objective of a face-to-face buyer consultation in your office to get that information. Up until that point, your job is really to get enough information to keep engaged with the prospect to be able to ask for the appointment again and again and again.